This lesson video covers part 2 of lesson 10-3, operations with radical expressions. In this video, we're talking about multiplying with radicals. So basically, we're just looking at either binomials and using like the FOIL method, or you can think of it as the distributive property, or you can multiply a monomial by a binomial. Remember, a binomial has 2 terms in it. A monomial has 1 term in it. Right, so that's all we're working on here, and then remembering our properties of radicals. So we want to make sure when we're done that everything is simplified all the way. Instead of going over that, I think we can all figure it out pretty well. We're just going to jump right into examples. I have 5 examples to do with you guys, so please watch the video and pay attention. For the first 2 here, all we're doing is distributing, right? So number 1, I'm just distributing that 2. And I don't have much room, so I have a separate sheet of paper to show my work. All right, 2 square root of 3 plus 4 square root of 5. Okay, so I'm going to distribute this 2 times the first term, 2 square root of 3, bring down my sign, and I'm going to multiply 2 times the second term. So 2 times 4 is 8. And then I have that square root of 5 behind it. Whatever you're distributing, you do not touch what's under the radical. What's under the radical is set. You can pull stuff out of the radical when you factor, but you cannot multiply and it can't go into the radical. This is a very special area and nobody can just hop right on in. Okay, so all we're doing is multiplying this number in front times the leading coefficient. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 square root of 3. 2 times 4 is 8, so 8 square root of 5. And we're done. So that's our answer. 2 square root of 3 plus 8 square root of 5. We want to make sure that everything is simplified. Can I factor 3 or 5? No, I cannot, so I can move on. Number 3, same exact idea, but we've got a radical on the outside now, so it's a little more complex. So we're going to distribute to the front and the back. So I'm going to have square root of 5 times square root of 5. Bring down my minus sign. Square root of 5 times square root of 2. Okay, and remember, when you multiply radicals, you can combine them underneath the same radical. You don't have to, but you can. In this case, it makes it easier. So this is going to be the square root of 5 times 5 minus the square root of 5 times 2. You can only combine them under the same radical when they're being multiplied. We can't combine all of this together when there's a minus sign. Okay, so this is square root of 25 minus square root of 10. Can I factor either one of these? I can separate 10 into 5 and 2, but then I can't pull anything out, so I'm just going to leave it as 10. I can't factor it. Can I factor this guy? Yeah, square root of 25 is 5. So I'm going to have 5 minus the square root of 10. That's my answer. Done. I made sure everything's in simplest form. Easy peasy. 5 minus the square root of 10. Done and done. All right, number 5. Now we've got 2 binomials. So this is where we're going to use the FOIL method. First, outer, inner, last. Basically, if that confuses you, because some people can't just like kind of remember that, they get confused, you know how like you wait for things to click and then you're like, oh, that makes sense, but if they don't click, you're like, I don't get it. Some people don't get the FOIL, and that's okay. Think of it as we're going to distribute this term to both of these, and then we're going to distribute this term to both of these. That's all FOIL is. First, outer, inner, last. That's all it is. All right, so we've got 2 times 2, we're distributing this guy to both of these terms. So 2 times 2, bring my sign over, plus 2 times 4 square root of 2. Okay, so there's the first part. Then I want to distribute the second term. Now there's a minus sign with that second term, so keep the minus sign with it. This times this, and this times this. Okay, so negative 4 square root of 2 times 2. So minus 4 square root of 2 times 2. And then negative 4 square root of 2 times positive 4 square root of 2. Negative 4 square root of 2 times positive 4 square root of 2. Okay, so now we've written everything out. Let's see if I can back up a little. Now we just need to simplify it all, right? So 2 times 2 is 4. Easy enough. 2 times 4, remember I can't touch what's under the radical, but I can multiply by the leading coefficient. So 2 times 4 is 8. So this becomes 8 square root of 2. Minus, this whole thing is being multiplied by 2. So just like we did here, the 2 multiplies by the leading coefficient. The 2 gets multiplied by the leading coefficient. So this becomes negative 8 square root of 2. So we've got this simplified, this simplified, this simplified. Now I just got to do this last guy, right? So all of it's being multiplied. So I'm going to do negative 4 times 4, which is negative 16. And then square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is square root of 2 squared. Okay, so I'm going to keep simplifying. 4 plus 8 square root of 2 minus 8 square root of 2. And then square root of 2 squared, this squared cancels this out. So this is just a 2 left. So negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. Right? So, and then plus 8 square root of 2 minus 8 square root of 2, they cancel each other out. So I'm left with 4 minus 32. Can I combine those? Absolutely I can. That's going to be negative 28. So this is my final answer. And I should have one answer because there weren't any variables up here, right? Two of my radicals ended up getting canceled out. And then the last radical, the radical sign got canceled out because it was squared. So I don't even have any radicals left over. So negative 28 is my answer. Okay, next one. We got 2 more left. Number 11. I'm going to zoom back in. Number 11, square root of 3 plus square root of 6 squared, right? So we're going to write that out. Keep hitting these around. Square root of 3 plus square root of 6 times square root of 3 plus square root of 6, right? That's what we're saying. There was a shortcut to this too, right? Whenever you have a plus sign here and it's squared, all you're going to do for your trinomial, after you factor all the, or multiply all this, multiply the first term, or square the first term, square the last term, and in the middle, and we've got plus signs here because there's a plus sign here, and in the middle, you're going to multiply first times last times 2. So 2 times square root of 3 times square root of 6. Okay, if we FOILed this out, this is what we would end up with. First times first, this guy, this guy, this guy. This is what we end up with. All right, so now I want to simplify. Square root of 3 squared, the squared and the square root cancel each other out. So I got 3. At the end, same thing here. This cancels with this, and I got a 6. In the middle, I've got 2 times the square root of, and then I can multiply 6 and 3 together under the same radical. So 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, so I want to keep going. Can I combine anything right now? Yeah, I can combine the 3 and the 6, right? So that's 9 plus 2 square root of 18. Can I factor anything here? Can I simplify the radical? Yes, I can. I've ended up multiplying it, right? Because I had a radical times another radical. That's the only time you can kind of touch the inside of a radical is if you have another radical there. You can't just multiply a number without a radical. And so I can factor this. So factoring 18, I got 2 and 9, 3 and 3. So if I rewrite this, anything squared hops out front of the radical. This is not going to hop outside. So I'm going to have 3 square root of 2. So this is going to become 9 plus 3 square root of 2. And it's being multiplied by 2. Right, this 2 is on the outside. Just the 18 became this, and it's being multiplied by 2. So that's going to become 9 plus 6 square root of 2. Because I'm just multiplying this number that's not in a radical by the leading coefficient. The only time you can multiply under the radical is if you have another radical, like up here. All right? Hopefully that's making sense to you guys. Do we have another one? Oh yeah, we have one more. We've got one more here. This one looks like the difference of squares. No, it doesn't. These aren't the same. Just kidding. I saw a plus and a minus sign. Number 15 here. We're just going to use FOIL like we did. We're going to distribute. So I'm going to rewrite it. Square root of 5 minus square root of 18. 7 square root of 5 plus square root of 3. And I'm going to look at this first term and multiply it by the first and last here. Square root of 5 times 7 square root of 5 plus square root of 5 times square root of 3. I got it mixed up, but that's okay. And then I'm going to look at this second term, negative square root of 18, and I'm going to multiply it by each term in the back. So minus square root of 18 times 7 square root of 5. And then I've got a plus sign here, but I'm multiplying it by a negative, so negative square root of 18 times square root of 3. I kind of squish that all in. All right, so now that it's written out, I can start simplifying. Okay, so I've got two radicals here, so I can combine them underneath the same sign. So I'm going to put that 7 out front, and then the radical stuff I'm going to put under the same sign. Plus, put the radical stuff underneath the same sign. Minus square root of 18 times square root of 5 is going to go underneath the same sign, so I got that 7 out front. Minus, and then square root of 18 times square root of 3, 18 times 3. Okay, so now I can start simplifying. 7 times the square root of 25 plus square root of 15 minus 7 times the square root of 18 times 5 is 90. And 18 times 3 is 30 and 24, 54. Okay, so this looks all fine and good. I know this guy is in simplest form, but what about the other three? What about the rest of them? Does it look like I can simplify? Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to draw this out. Actually, I don't even need to. Square root of 25 is 5, so that's 7 times 5 plus, I can't simplify square root of 15 because factors are 3 and 5. Nothing's being squared. I can't pull anything out, so it is what it is. Minus 7. Now I can factor this 90, right? I'm going to separate it into 9 times 5 times 2. And 9 is a perfect square, so it can hop out front. It's like saying 3 squared, right? So if I take the square root of 9, rewrite that as 3 squared, hands over the 2, the 3 hops out front. I'm going to multiply it, and nothing else can hop out front. Okay, I can also factor 54. I can rewrite this as 6 times 9. 9's a perfect square. I can rewrite it as 3 squared. 3 squared, hands over the 2, hops out front. So that goes away. It went away here. So I'm left with a 6 under here. I'm left with a number under here. Let's keep simplifying. Hope you guys are following this okay. 7 times 5 is 35 plus square root of 15 minus 7 times 3 is 21. And then I've got 5 times 2 under the radical. And then here I've got minus 3 outside and a 6 under the radical. All right, does it look like I can simplify anything else? It doesn't look that way to me. It looks like we're done. It's not a super pretty answer, but that's the answer. So all we did was use the FOIL method and we just kept simplifying. It's a lot of work. Make sure you include all your work in your assignment when you submit it. All right, let me know if you have questions on any of this.